Attention point-and-click fans, this one's for you. The Night is Grey is a stylish adventure game that comes to us from developer Whale Stork Interactive, and I spent 3 hours playing through the first few chapters to test out this atmospheric adventure. Does this one shine like one of the classic point-and-click stars, or will you find yourself wandering around in the dark? Before we get lost in the woods, have you had a chance to check out patreon.com/idreamofindie games? If the answer is no, mark your map and head over to net yourself priceless treasures like an exceptionally kind Discord community, early and ad-free content, an exclusive podcast, and so much more. What are you waiting for? Your indie gaming community is out there. Now back to the game. The Night is Grey tells the story of our rather downtrodden protagonist Graham, who finds himself lost in the woods and pursued by bloodthirsty wolves. Graham stumbles into a small cabin where he meets a young girl named Hannah, who is also mysteriously on her own. A few puzzles later, the unlikely duo team up to find safety and survive the inky night in an adventure that spans over 50 gorgeously dark hand-painted locations. Let's get a few things out of the way before we proceed any deeper. First and foremost, this video will remain spoiler-free, so you won't find any puzzle solutions or plot development that you can't quickly locate on the Steam description or the game's own website, so no worries there. Second, this is a traditional point-and-click adventure. That means that it is not optimized for controller, so you have to get comfy cozy with the pretty basic mouse controls. You'll control Graham by left-clicking in the direction you want him to travel, left-clicking objects to pick them up and interact with them, and right-clicking to fast travel and inspect objects further. Since there is a basic inventory system, you can expect to combine items at times and drag them onto interaction points to use them within the various environments. If you've ever played another point-and-click, nothing I said here should surprise you too much. There is also a hint system which you can toggle on and off in the options menu. These hints, and I do intend for you to hear those quotation marks there, really only show all the interactive points in a particular location. So if you're looking for actual guidance on where to go and what to do, you're probably going to want to wait on a walkthrough becoming available. I never found myself missing any interactive objects, but I did find myself unpleasantly stuck on a few occasions, but we'll get into that a little bit later. The story is a mysterious one that will certainly keep you guessing, leaving your imagination to run wild, and the dialogue, while littered with the occasional grammatical error, does an effective job at portraying Graham as a man that is struggling with his purpose and self-worth. Graham's self-depreciating jokes could be a bit heavy-handed at times, and sometimes made our protagonist feel a little one-dimensional, but his interactions with Hannah very clearly accomplished what the writer intended, and gave me a reason to care about these characters. You know what they say, if a game's challenge doesn't come from platforming, point scoring, or combat, it comes from puzzles. Okay, I don't know if anyone actually says that, but I said it now, and it's true in this particular case. The primary challenge of The Night is Grey is rooted in the puzzles. These range from circuits that need to be completed, valves you'll need to place, and incomplete maps you'll need to fill in through trial and error. While I found some of the early puzzles satisfying to solve, the deeper I delved into the game, the more frustrated I became with the puzzles. Trust me, I've played a few point-and-click games in my days, and some exceptional puzzle games in general, and I understand that difficulty ramps up as a game progresses, but the issue I had with the puzzles in The Night is Grey is that they became reliant on factors that felt beyond my control. For example, the game began to rely on not just cryptic notes and codes, but faded instructions and maps that were intended to serve as clues. I would much rather solve equations, fit pieces together, rather than try to decipher what I was supposed to understand from a damp piece of paper. It just didn't have the satisfaction factor I was looking for, and ultimately ended up making me feel a little soggy. As is the case with many other point-and-click games, sometimes the solution to the puzzles were also a bit illogical, like trying something you've already done or speaking with a character you've already spoken with to find a missing item. If you've already mentally prepared yourself for this type of frustration, information, or if there's already a guide available, then you'll probably be in better shape than I. But I always feel like there should be a clear and logical solution to every puzzle, and I didn't find that to be the case here. Getting back to the positive side of things, the visual and audio presentation in The Night is Grey is superb. Better than any game I've played this year. Well, technically, it's the only game I've played so far this year, but seriously, the visuals are gorgeous and engrossing. I found myself lost in the darkness and the fog, unnerved by sudden shadows in the foreground, and always heading towards the light. Every detail of the environments and characters, the stark contrast of light and shadow, the layers that provided depth, it's a beautiful game to look at, made even more beautiful and engaging with the dynamic soundtrack. The music ebbs and flows as you move from location to location, fitting together splendidly, but doing enough to differentiate each chapter apart. The instrumentation always sounds appropriately distant from our protagonist, not always quiet, but generally maintaining an empty, echoing quality that gives the illusion that our protagonist is a little far away, just a little out of reach. The only qualm I had regarding visuals pertained once again to Graham. Quite frankly, he's a bit slow for my taste. Lighting a lamp, for example, requires Graham to go through multiple lines of dialogue and frames of animation each time, which would be fine if it wasn't an action I had to perform countless times throughout my gameplay. Adding a way to skip through dialogue or animations you've already encountered is certainly not required, but would help with some of the more tedious bits. The game performs well on PC, which is great because there are little to no options other than adjusting audio and toggling your hints on or off. From what I've played so far, my feelings about this title are a little mixed. Not quite black or white, but a little gray. The visuals and sound design are stunning, the story is imaginative and enticing enough to propel me forward, but a lack of logic with some of the puzzles and reliance on faded bits of information to stumble upon solutions took me back a few pegs. There is clearly more than meets the eye with this story, and I do think I will complete my playthrough, but I'll wait until a walkthrough is available so I don't find myself hopelessly lost in the dark with a useless map and a wolf on my trail again. If you're a diehard fan of the point-and-click genre and you don't mind its typical pitfalls, or if you're just looking for an aesthetically pleasing game to scratch the cinematic itch in your brain, The Night is Grey is certainly an intriguing product. If you prefer your puzzles with a straightforward solution and your protagonist with a little less self-loathing, then you may want to wait for a bit of a sale.